I've always wondered how good the 2.7 liter is compared to the 2.3. If you don't know, the Ford Ranger released a 2.7 not too long ago, and it's not a cheap option. It's going to cost you over $2,000 for that engine. $2,195 to be exact. That is a twin turboed V6 as well. Now I did a video reviewing a Lariat. I didn't drive it, but I said in that video it fit like a glove, and now I know why, because the i4 turbo, this is a 2.3 liter displacement, man, it fits really good in here. Actually, there's like a ton of space here if you want to do some modifications. I'm just kidding. I don't know what you would do, but nevertheless, if you want to put a V8 in here, I think it'll fit 100%. Anyone can say 5 liter Coyote? I borrowed these trucks from Larry H. Miller, Super Ford, here in Salt Lake City. I got the keys from Diego. Be sure to give him a look up if you are in the market. Let's go ahead and drive the 2.7 liter first, because they only have this truck here, and my only other option is a Lariat, and I want to try to keep it as close as possible in terms of the features. Although this has FX4, this has the sport package. You can never win, but hey, it's close enough for me. We're getting on the highway right now, and you know, I gotta tell you guys, I've driven the Inline 4 turbo in the past, and I gave it like 20% throttle. This truck is like perfect. This is almost like a performance truck. I can say that. Like, I gave it little to no acceleration, and I felt like I had ample power there. So there's obviously no replacement for displacement, although it's not that much of a difference. It's like what, 0.4 displacement difference, you know, so not a big difference in the grand scheme of things. But I will tell you, having the extra power and you know that you have it, it feels good, because if you need to pass someone, that's where this really does come to play. Because if you're planning on towing a boat, if you live higher above elevation, it's just nice to have the extra power. Now, you won't notice a difference inside the interior. Do you have a twin turbo V6? I don't think it sounds well, you know, it actually sounds kind of like the 3.5 liter EcoBoost, kinda. And I guess I'll have to be reminded how this sounds compared to the Inline 4. The Inline 4 doesn't seem to be as whiny as some of the other ones. Like, I don't really care for GM's 2.7 liter. It does seem kind of whiny sometimes. It does have some nice turbo whistles, but it just sounds like a 4-cylinder. But yeah, the Ford Rangers are very comfortable. They ride really well. I feel like for a mid-sized pickup truck, they did a really good job dialing in the suspension. So independent front suspension, obviously. They use aluminum control arms, although you won't really notice a difference there. It's just lighter on the suspension, so it should handle better. But will it be more comfortable? I doubt it. Yeah, everything feels so precise. The steering is pretty tight for what it is. I like how big the mirrors are on this truck too. They're probably bigger than the Ford F-150s. And something I noticed too, if you're short and you're wondering if you're gonna fit inside of a Ford Ranger, the seats go really far down. Like, I caught myself, when I had to move both of these trucks around, I caught myself having to push the seats up. So I think this truck would be good for taller people. Now, no one will probably be able to sit behind you, but yeah, you have that one nice feature of knowing that this truck, even though it's a midsize, it does have a lot of like space on the interior for sure. Now, as far as the tires go, they're basically the same. They're the Goodyear Wrangler Territory AT for the Sport, and then the ATS for the FX4 truck. So there's a little difference there. Now, this truck has the ATSs, and I feel like they're a little bit softer compound tire, right? And because of that, it does feel soft on the road. And that's kind of what off-road trucks do. They actually give you a softer ride. They give you a softer suspension typically. So this truck really does feel good on the road. Ford did not deem it necessary to give you RPMs, so I can't really show that to you guys. They don't show you turbo boost, none of that stuff. And I would have liked to have seen them upgrade this 8-inch screen to the 12-incher, you know, simply because, hey, you're getting more power, so I would think most people would like to see turbo boost and all that good stuff, but nope, you don't see that on this truck. I mean, it's kind of a letdown, I will be honest. It's a little bit of a letdown. I think some people will agree with me that having more information is better than not having it. So under off-road, they do show you some engine information, so it shows you the engine hours and then some of your gauges. So that's nice, kind of see where that is. So here are the numbers on the door. Gross axle rating up front's gonna be 3,274 pounds. The rear is 3,573. Gross fuel core rating is gonna be 6,170, okay? And then all in payload is 1,423. We just got off, and this is gonna be the midpoint for both drives. I guess I need to show you guys where we are for the fuel economy. That was just a normal drive. If you're going to work, figure you don't live far, obviously, right? Ooh, I'm under the wrong menu. Let me get out of here. Here we go. So trip. So trip one at the stop, we are at 23.4. It does have a hold function too, so you don't have to keep your foot on the brake. That is really nice. Yeah, shows that we were probably averaging about 60 miles an hour on that drive there. So yeah, we'll head back the opposite direction and I'll go over a few more things with you guys. I'm going about 45 miles an hour. I'm going to give it 50% throttle. Oh yeah, the kick down in the transmission is good. I hope you guys can see that. We're at 64 decibels. Like I said, the engine's not loud. You don't really hear the exhaust. You don't even hear turbo sounds from what I can tell. I don't hear anything. Now when we do the 0 to 60, I definitely want to make sure I listen in. Now I drove this truck here in normal mode. There is a sport mode if I remember. I always forget, I'm sorry. You know, there's a lot I got to do. I got to set up my draggy. There's just too much to do, so sometimes I just forget. But if I remember, I will put it in sport mode. They don't have a 4 auto, and that's something I would like to see too. I think that would really make this test kind of fun, because then I don't have any delay right there. So all in all, this truck is great. If you're someone that doesn't want to drive a car, but you don't want a full-size pickup truck, this is really something that I could see myself buying just to cruise around in. Like, it really does feel good, and we'll see how it does on fuel economy, because if you're gonna get maybe 3 MPG better in a car, this might be the way to go, honestly. You gotta pick up it. This 2.7 liter twin turbo V6 is putting out 315 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through a 10-speed transmission. Now keep in mind, you will have to run premium to get those fuel economy numbers. Let's see how it performs. Here we go. What do you guys think about that 0 to 60? We're about 4,700 feet above elevation, so you have to keep that in consideration. And yeah, I mean, I put it in sport mode, and that was the best we were able to get. That's pretty good though. We finished off at 20.3 MPG. That was with the 0 to 60 and that midpoint stop. So it did drop down about 1 MPG, and then when I did 0 to 60, dropped down like another 2, down to about 19. And then as we were driving just now, got back up to where we are right now. So not bad. Let's go ahead and drive the 2.3. We're driving the Inline 4, and already, as I said in the last drive, you can just tell that you're down on power. And it's really at these lower speeds. You know, having twin turbos, when you have two, one kind of acts as a, you know, jolt of power. So one's spooling while the other one is probably more for top end. Yeah, you have to push the gas pedal in just a little bit more. And this one definitely does sound like a 4-cylinder engine compared to what we just drove. Just being honest here, this is all honesty. That's all it is. But, you know, it's not bad. You know, this truck still probably will outperform natural aspirated V6s of the past, for sure. And, you know, something I have to mention, too, about pricing. When you think about the size of these mid-size pickups, they're actually a lot bigger in comparison to just, you know, even like, what, the last generation of Ranger? And they're probably about the same size as pickup trucks that were in the mid-size categories back in the early 2000s. So these trucks, they have a lot of power for what they are, and they can tow considerably a lot for what they are too. One thing I can clearly tell though, 100%, this truck just feels a little bit more sluggish. That's the very first thing I noticed when I was just taking off just now. Now, something I didn't really talk about was some of the technologies. These trucks do have lane keep assist. Now, this one having the sport package, I'm not sure if that adds this adaptive cruise control, because I see some buttons here that were not on the last truck. So they were both 308 equipment groups, but one's a sport, one's a off-road. This sport seems to have just a few more features over that last one. Dual climate control, heated front seats. These are cloth seats too. So yeah, this is definitely, again, for the price point, it is expensive, but for what you're getting in these trucks, they really do have a lot of features. And if you're not towing a trailer, you can get combined 20 MPG with these engines, right? And they have over 250 horsepower, either one. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump over here. A little bit of a delay in the transmission. Oh, that's because of this LIM. I don't know what that is, but it highlights the speed limit. Oh, I guess it's the limiter for the speed limit. I see, that's what that was. I'll show it to you guys here in a second. But yeah, there's no delay in the trans. It kicked down really good. They're both 10 speed, they're the same exact thing. The only thing that's different is the engine. But yeah, the tires, you won't notice a difference between off-road and sport. You can say that the ones on the off-road truck are a little bit more aggressive, but that's not even true either, because they're about the same. I don't really notice a difference. I have to look really close. This one seems to have a little bit more road noise though too, so I'm not sure what that is. I just checked to see if the windows are up, but I'm definitely hearing a little bit more road noise. I mean, having that V6 under the hood could actually give you more sound deadening too, who knows? It's possible, but I feel like I hear more wind noise more than anything else though. Notice how big the mirrors are on this truck. I need to do a comparison with the F-150 because the mirrors on the F-150 are smaller than these. And yeah, I like the overall layout of this interior. I believe this is a 10-inch screen. You have your climate control down below. It's dual climate control. That is an option on this truck, so just keep that in mind. And the seats have really nice bowstring, and they're pretty comfortable too. But there's no RPMs on these 8-inch screens. I think you might have it on the Lariat, which has the larger display here. But I mean, overall, still a nice layout. So here are the numbers on the door for the 4-cylinder turbo. So slightly lower gross axle rating up front, but the same 3573, and then 6170 gross fuel weight rating. And all in payload is 1648. We're getting ready to hop off the interstate here. Exit 11. Anyway, I want to take a quick guess of where we are. Is the inline 4 more fuel efficient than the V6? The answer is, actually we have a light too, so it is more fuel efficient. So we're at 26 MPG. Here's what I'll tell you. If you have a lead foot, invest in V6. I think that you will find this truck to be slower, and you might actually get worse fuel economy because you're finding yourself having to give it more throttle. If you have a lead foot, that is. Now when you have the V6, I feel as though it's more responsive compared to the inline 4. The inline 4 has enough power, but it doesn't feel as confident as you would in that V6. So, you know, they always tell you there's fast cars and then there's quick cars. People who have quick cars drive like they're fast cars. People who have fast cars drive like they have quick cars because they have enough power, so they don't need to use it all the time. So I don't know. I think that most people will probably find the $2,000 well spent. Excuse me, man. Have a frog in my throat. But yeah, I feel like you will enjoy the V6 a lot more so too. But if you don't care, if you live in a city and you're not really getting on a highway, then the inline 4 turbo is more than enough. Let's do this again. So I'm going 45. I'm going to give it 50%. This is about 65 actually. I'm going 70. It's about where I was with the V6. This is a little bit louder. And like I said, the engine noise doesn't sound as good. I don't like 4-cylinders. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Normally 4-cylinders with turbos sound good, but inside the interior it just doesn't sound that great. Just being honest here, they don't sound that great. I think if it were me, At first when I saw the cost of the V6, I'm like, man, they are crazy. $2,000? Now I'm thinking like, yeah, I'll probably spend that $2,000. I would do it 100% because, yeah, and of course if you have the extra coin, you can get the Raptor, which has the 3-liter. So even more horsepower and torque. And I think you have to burn premium in the Raptor, I think. But yeah, you'll notice a difference if you drove them back to back. There's no secret whether you're driving the Inline 4 or the V6. I'm telling you, it's totally different. We should be up here in a second to do the 0 to 60. Let me go and get everything set up and let's see how it compares. I'm really excited to see this difference, and I will be sure to put it in sport mode too. This 2.3 liter inline 4 turbo puts out 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through a 10-speed transmission, but keep in mind, if you want those power outputs, you're gonna have to burn premium fuel. Let's see how it performs. Here we go. That wasn't a big difference for the 0 to 60, but if you really consider that twin turbo V6 is not really geared towards performance, it's really just for added power for towing. And 8.68 versus 8.1, you probably would notice about a car and a half length ahead. So yeah, it definitely is a big difference when you consider that. But yeah, 22.9 MPG, and I'm actually shocked that there was a difference. I thought it would be about the same, but yeah, you're gonna pick up a little bit better fuel economy with this inline 4. So which truck won this test today? Let's break it down for a second. Obviously, if you want that twin turbo V6, as you guys heard earlier in the video, it's gonna cost you $2,195. It's a lot of money. And on top of that, the 0 to 60 times were not that much of a difference, although I will say it's enough to be a difference if you're doing a side-by-side drag race. I'm willing to bet you that Ranger with the twin turbo V6 was probably a car and a half ahead for sure, if not a little bit more. It could have even been 2 cars ahead. But the inline 4 turbo got the job done today. I think where you're going to see the biggest benefit getting the twin turbo V6 is in the mid-range. So if you're on the highway cruising at 50-60 miles an hour, this inline 4 turbo is almost out of steam. That twin turbo V6 is just getting started. That's where I think you're gonna find the most benefit. So if you do plan on towing a trailer, or if you do live in an area like this where you have to get on the highway a lot, that twin turbo V6 is worth the extra coin. Now again, if it was like $1,000 upgrade, I would say that twin turbo V6 would have won hands down, but $2,100 is a lot of money, guys. It's a lot of money for an engine that's not really geared towards performance. It's really geared towards, you know, extra duty, I guess you could say. Like, so if you plan on towing, that's really what it's for. So, and if I were to explain and break it down, if we were to go under the trucks, look at the axles out back, look at the transmissions, they're all the same. So you're not really getting a huge leap in performance per se. I mean, granted you are, but you really aren't. It's just really there for duty, and that's towing. So I hope you guys liked the video. I definitely had fun doing this, and I always wondered how much difference was the performance. So now we know. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Make sure your bell notifications are on. See you guys soon.